Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, is the life I'm building actually the life I wanted? Not the business, not the career, not the number in my bank account, the life. Because I think a lot of us start chasing one dream, and somewhere along the way, we accidentally start chasing someone else's definition of success. We work longer hours. We say yes to more opportunities. We answer emails at night. We feel guilty taking a day off. We convince ourselves that if we can just get through this busy season, then life will slow down. But what if it doesn't? What if the busy season quietly becomes the way we live? Lately, that's the question I've been asking myself. Not because I don't love what I do. I do. I love this podcast. I love Beauty by Tammy. I love serving lash artists. I love creating. But over the last year, life has reminded me that time, energy, and health aren't unlimited resources. And that realization has changed the questions I'm asking. Instead of asking, how can I do more? I've started asking, how can I build a life that leaves room to actually enjoy it? That's what I want to talk about today. Welcome back to Behind the Lash with Tammy. I'm Tammy, and if you've been listening throughout season 2, you probably know that this season has become something I've never expected. When I sat down to plan these episodes, I thought I was making a season about entrepreneurship, about business, about burnout, about slowing down. But somewhere along the way, I realized this season has actually been about something much bigger. It's been about identity. It's been about redefining success. It's been about letting go of the version of myself that believed my worth was measured by how much I could accomplish. And if you've been feeling stretched thin lately, if you've been carrying too much, if you've been wondering why the life you've worked so hard to build still feels exhausting, I hope this conversation encourages you. Because today isn't about telling you to quit your job or close your business or stop being ambitious. It's actually the opposite. I still believe in building something meaningful. I still believe in working hard. I still believe in dreaming big. But I also believe your business should support your life. Your life shouldn't exist to support your business. And I have to be honest, that lesson has taken me years to learn. So let's go back to the beginning, because I think many of us started for exactly the same reason: freedom. When I first started Beauty by Tammy, I wasn't chasing a 7-figure business. I wasn't dreaming about becoming the biggest name in the beauty industry. Honestly, I just wanted freedom. Freedom to build something that was mine. Freedom to decide how I spent my time. Freedom to create. Freedom to serve people in a way that felt personal. After years of working in retail management, I knew what it felt like to build someone else's dream. And there was nothing wrong with that season of my life. I learned so much. I learned how to lead a team, how to serve customers, how to solve problems, and how to work really, really hard. Those experiences shaped who I am today. But there came a point where I felt this pull to build something of my own. I wanted to create a business that reflected my values, one where quality mattered, relationships mattered, integrity mattered, one where customers weren't just transactions. They were people. And when I started lashing, I genuinely loved it. I loved helping women feel confident. I loved the conversations we have during appointments. Sometimes my clients would come in stressed, overwhelmed, or exhausted, and they'd leave feeling lighter. That meant something to me. Then came education, then products, then Beauty by Tammy began growing into something much bigger than I had imagined. And for a long time, that growth felt exciting because every opportunity felt like proof that I was moving in the right direction. But here's something nobody really talks about. Every level of growth comes with another level of responsibility. More customers, emails, orders, questions, decisions, expectations, and more pressure. Growth doesn't automatically create freedom. Sometimes it creates more work. And I don't think anyone prepares us for that. Somewhere along the way, I realized I had quietly traded one kind of pressure for another. I remember thinking, when my business grows, I'll finally have more flexibility. Instead, I found myself checking emails every night, thinking about work while making dinner, answering messages on weekends, feeling guilty I wasn't creating content, wondering if I was posting enough, if I was launching enough, if I was doing enough. Maybe you've felt that too. Maybe you don't own a business. Maybe it's your career or your job or your family or caring for your aging parents or simply trying to keep up with life. But this isn't really an entrepreneur problem. It's a human problem. We've become so busy maintaining the life we've built that we stop living it. That hit me hard when I first admitted it to myself. I realized I wasn't building a business anymore. Some days it felt like my business was building me and not always into the person I wanted to become. I want to ask you something. When was the last time you finished your day and still had energy left for yourself? Not your clients, not your family, not your coworkers, for you. Because if the answer is, I honestly can't remember, then maybe this episode is exactly the conversation you needed today. I think every one of us reaches a point where life quietly asks us, is this still working? Not, is your business successful? Are you making enough money? Or even, are you happy? The question becomes, can you keep living like this? And I don't think we ask ourselves that question nearly enough. Because we're busy, we're responsible, people count on us, we have bills to pay, customers to serve, families to take care of, and deadlines to meet. So instead of stopping to ask whether something is sustainable, we just keep going. I know I've done that. More than once, I kept telling myself, oh, it's just a busy season. Have you ever said that? I just need to get through this launch. I just need to get through Christmas, get through summer, get through this project, get through this week. And then another busy season comes along, and another, until one day you realize this isn't a season anymore. This has become my lifestyle. That realization was hard for me because I love working. I genuinely do. I love creating. I love teaching. I love talking to lash artists. I love developing products. I love recording this podcast. The work was never the problem. The problem was believing that every opportunity deserved a yes. The problem was believing that if I slowed down, I'd fall behind. Maybe you felt that too. Maybe you've worried that if you stop posting for a while, people will forget you. If you don't answer every email immediately, people will be disappointed. If you don't keep pushing, someone else will get ahead. We're living in a world that constantly tells us more is better, faster is better, bigger is better, busier is better. But what if better is simply just better? What if a calmer life is actually a successful life? What if protecting your energy isn't laziness, it's wisdom? Something changed for me over the past year. Life reminded me that my energy has limits, and for a long time, I treated those limits like a problem to solve. I thought, maybe I just need better time management. Maybe I need another productivity app. Maybe I need to wake up earlier. Maybe I need to work harder. But eventually, I realized I didn't have a productivity problem. I had a capacity problem. And those are very different things. Productivity asks, how can I fit more in? Capacity asks, what can I realistically carry well? That question changed everything. Because instead of trying to squeeze one more thing into my day, I started asking, what would make tomorrow easier? I'll give you a simple example. As I'm recording this episode, I'm getting ready to leave for Vancouver. When I get back, I already know I have a busy week ahead waiting for me. Old Tammy would have come home, unpacked her suitcase, looked at her calendar and thought, oh no, I still have to record another podcast. Instead, I'm recording ahead, not because anyone told me to, not because I'm trying to be super productive, but because I want future Tammy to come home to one less thing. That one decision probably won't change my business, but it might change my week. It might change my stress level. It might allow me to enjoy my trip a little more because I know I've already taken care of something important. And I realized I've started making decisions differently. I've stopped asking, how much can I accomplish today? I've started asking, what would future Tammy thank me for? I love that question because future Tammy isn't asking me to work harder. She's asking me to leave her some breathing room. She's asking me to stop handing her impossible weeks. She's asking me to protect her energy before she needs protecting. I think future Tammy deserves that. Maybe future you deserves that too. So here's something I'd love for you to think about. Imagine yourself 1 week from now. What is one decision you could make today that would make next week feel lighter? Maybe it's preparing dinner tonight. Maybe it's saying no to one commitment. Maybe it's taking Friday afternoon off. Maybe it's booking the appointment you've been putting off. Maybe it's finally asking for help or simply admitting, I can't do everything. Sometimes we think success is measured by how much we carry. I'm starting to believe wisdom is knowing what not to carry. And that has been one of the biggest lessons of my life. Because once I started asking different questions, I started making different decisions. Not all at once, not perfectly, and honestly, I'm still figuring it out. This isn't an episode from someone who's mastered work-life balance. It's a conversation with someone who's learning to build differently. And maybe that's actually more helpful because chances are you're still figuring it out too. One of the biggest shifts I've made is realizing every decision either adds pressure or creates peace. I never used to think that way. I used to think every decision was about growth. Will this grow my business? Will this increase sales? Will this reach more people? Those aren't bad questions, but they aren't the only questions anymore. Now I also ask, what does this decision cost me? Not financially, personally. Will it cost me another evening with my family? Will it cost me another weekend thinking about work? Will it cost me my energy, my creativity, my peace? Because every yes costs something, even good opportunities. One of the biggest misconceptions about simplifying your life is that people think you're lowering your standards. I actually think the opposite is true. I'm becoming more intentional, not less ambitious. I'm simply directing that ambition differently. Instead of trying to do everything, I'm trying to do the right things. That has changed how I think about my business. For example, I've stopped feeling like I need to create something brand new every single week. Instead, I'm focusing on creating evergreen content that still helps someone 6 months from now, or a year from now, or maybe even longer. There's something really freeing about creating work that has a longer life. It reminds me that not everything has to happen today. Another change, I've started batching work whenever I can. A perfect example is this podcast. Instead of recording one episode, waiting, and then scrambling to record the next one, I'm recording ahead. Not because I'm trying to stay busy, but because I'm trying to protect future Tammy. I know that when I come home from Vancouver, life is going to be busy. And I also know how good it's going to feel knowing this episode is already done. That isn't productivity. That's kindness. Kindness to my future self. I've also become more comfortable leaving white space in my calendar. A few years ago, if I saw an empty afternoon, I'd immediately think, what should I fill it with? Now I think maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that empty space has a purpose. Maybe it's there because life is unpredictable. Maybe it's there because I might need to rest. Or it's there because someone I love might need me. It's simply there so I can breathe. I don't think every hour needs to be optimized. Sometimes the most valuable thing in your calendar is the space that isn't scheduled. Another lesson I've learned is that simplifying doesn't always mean doing less. Sometimes it means doing fewer things better. I would rather create one meaningful podcast episode than 5 rushed ones. I'd rather have fewer products that I'm incredibly proud of than constantly launching things just because I feel like I should. I'd rather build relationships with customers who trust me than chase numbers that don't actually make me happier. I've started asking myself, if someone only knew me through the work I create, would they know what I actually value? I hope the answer is yes. I hope they would see quality, integrity, honesty, thoughtfulness, kindness, because those things matter to me far more than looking busy. And maybe the biggest change of all, I've stopped comparing my life to someone else's timeline. This one is hard, especially today. It's so easy to look online and think, they're launching another product. They hit another milestone. They're growing faster. They're posting every day. They seem to have endless energy. But comparison only works when you ignore context. You don't know what someone else is sacrificing. You don't know what they're carrying. You don't know what they're protecting. I've stopped asking, why am I not where they are? Instead, I'm asking, am I becoming the person I want to be? Because if the answer is yes, then maybe I'm exactly where I need to be. Building differently hasn't made my life perfect. I still have busy days. I still get overwhelmed sometimes. I still catch myself saying yes too quickly. I still have moments where I forget everything I've talked about today. But now I notice sooner. I course correct sooner. I give myself more grace. I remind myself I'm not trying to build a perfect life. I'm trying to build a sustainable one. A life that leaves room for work, family, friendships, creativity, quiet, and the unexpected moments that make life beautiful. Because if success requires sacrificing all those things, then maybe it isn't success after all. As I've been reflecting on everything we've talked about today, I realized something. When I started this season, I thought I was making a podcast about business. I thought we were going to talk about entrepreneurship, growth, burnout, social media, productivity, all of those things. But somewhere along the way, this season became about something much bigger. It became about asking better questions. Not how can I do more, but what kind of life am I actually trying to build? There was a time when I measured success by what I accomplished. How many clients, how many orders, how many ideas, how many things I could juggle at once. I wore busy like it was a badge of honor. Maybe you have too. People would ask how things were going, and I'd say, oh, I'm so busy. Almost like being busy meant I was doing something right. But I'm not sure I believe that anymore. Busy isn't a goal. Exhaustion isn't a trophy. Constantly feeling behind isn't proof that your life matters. These days, my definition of success looks very different. Success is having enough energy at the end of the day to actually enjoy dinner with my family. Success is creating work that I'm proud of instead of rushing to keep up. It's taking a trip without feeling guilty that I'm stepping away. It's making decisions today that make life easier tomorrow. Success is knowing that my business is an important part of my life, but it isn't my entire life. Because at the end of it all, no one is going to remember how quickly I answered an email, or remember how many times I posted on Instagram, or remember whether I checked one more thing off my to-do list, but I will remember how I felt. I'll remember whether I had time for the people I love. I'll remember whether I was present. I'll remember whether I laughed, whether I rested, whether I noticed the little moments that make life meaningful. Those are the things I'm trying to build around now. If you've listened to the season from the beginning, thank you. Thank you for letting me share this journey with you. Some of these conversations have been easy to record. Some haven't. Because whenever you start questioning the way you've always done things, it can feel uncomfortable. But I also think it's where growth begins. Not the kind of growth that shows up in numbers, the kind that changes you. Before we finish today, I'd love to leave you with a few questions. You don't have to answer them right now. Just carry them with you this week. What does success look like to you today? Is it the same definition you had 5 years ago? If not, what changed? What's one commitment that's adding pressure instead of purpose? What's one small decision you could make this week that future you would be grateful for? And maybe the biggest question of all, if you could build your life around what matters most, what would you build differently? I don't have all the answers. In fact, I'm still asking these questions myself. I'm still learning, I'm still adjusting, I'm still rebuilding. But I think that's okay, because growth isn't about arriving. It's about being willing to change. And I think that's exactly what this season has been about. Next podcast is the season 2 finale. And I have to admit, I've been thinking about that episode for a long time. Because I want to bring everything we've talked about the season together, I want to share where this journey has led me, how it's changing the way I think about my business, my work, my priorities, and the life I'm trying to build moving forward. There are still parts of that story I haven't shared publicly, not because I'm hiding them, but because I wanted to understand them myself first. In the finale, I want to pull back the curtain a little more, not because I have everything figured out, I definitely don't, but because I think there's value in letting people see what it looks like to rebuild while you're still in the middle of it. If you've been listening this season, I really hope you'll come back for one more conversation. I have a feeling it's going to be my most personal episode yet. Thank you for spending part of your day with me. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you shared it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're enjoying the podcast, leaving a rating or review is one of the best ways to help more people discover these conversations. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of the people you love, and remember, I'm learning that success isn't about building a life that constantly asks us to recover from it. It's about building a life that gives you the space to truly live it. I'll see you next time.